Right now, $1.8 trillion in commercial real estate loans are racing toward a hard deadline in 2026. At the same time, office vacancy has reached a 30-year high, and AI adoption is eliminating white-collar jobs far faster than nearly anyone expected. If you live in one of the following 15 cities, you are positioned exactly where these three forces collide with the greatest impact. Number 15, Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford now holds the third highest foreclosure rate in the United States, while Connecticut is losing population faster than nearly every other state. The city's economy relies heavily on insurance firms that are downsizing and office workers who are not returning. Downtown office vacancy already exceeds 20% even before the 2026 refinancing deadline arrives. Residents face a 1 in 30 chance of becoming a crime victim, and Hartford ranks among the nation's worst for violent crime, including an exceptionally high murder rate. Homelessness across Connecticut rose 13% from 2023 to 2024, with Hartford contributing a disproportionate share. Between 2010 and 2020, the city lost 11% of its population. Commercial buildings backing soon-to-mature loans are worth roughly 60 cents on the dollar compared to origination. When banks stop extending loans in 2026, Hartford's tax base collapses, while the city continues to maintain infrastructure for residents who no longer live there. Median household income sits at $54,000, while the cost of living rivals cities offering twice the economic opportunity. Number 14, Jackson, Mississippi. Mississippi has the lowest median income in America at $49,000 and the highest unemployment rate in the South. Jackson's labor force participation stands at just 58%, meaning 42% of working-age adults are no longer seeking employment. The city's infrastructure is failing. In 2022, its water system collapsed, leaving 150,000 residents without clean water for weeks. When commercial property values crash in 2026, Jackson will lack the funds to repair pipes, let alone maintain schools or public safety. Mississippi's real GDP per capita is $34,000, the lowest nationally. The median home value of $91,000 does not reflect affordability, it reflects lack of demand. Property taxes are high relative to income, pushing out anyone who can afford to leave. The state relies heavily on federal transfers, so when budgets tighten during recession, Jackson is hit twice. Number 13, Little Rock, Arkansas. Arkansas ranks 45th nationally in real GDP per capita at $43,000. Downtown Little Rock already faces 18% office vacancy, and major employers like Dillard's and Axiom have downsized for years. When 2026 refinancing hits, local banks face disproportionate exposure to commercial loans they cannot extend. While unemployment appears low at 3.9%, wages remain weak. Arkansas ranks 44th in median household income. Jobs exist, but they do not pay enough to sustain households. Historically, Arkansas sees unemployment spike to 7% or higher during recessions, with limited safety nets. Little Rock's population peaked in 1980 and has remained flat. Growth occurs through sprawl while the urban core empties. When commercial real estate collapses, the city maintains infrastructure for vacant buildings as tax revenue vanishes. Number 12, Charleston, West Virginia. West Virginia posts the second lowest real GDP per capita in the nation at $34,000. Charleston built its economy around coal, chemical manufacturing, and government employment. Two industries in terminal decline and one that shrinks during federal budget tightening. The city's population peaked in 1960 and has declined steadily since. Unemployment remains above 5%, and median household income is just $38,000. The state ranks last in infrastructure investment and 48th in education. When federal spending contracts during recession, Charleston loses the government jobs sustaining its economy. Coal is not returning, and chemical plants are automating. In 2008, unemployment surged to 9% and took 6 years to recover, before AI began eliminating administrative roles, which now account for 23% of employment in government-heavy cities. West Virginia's population is aging rapidly, shrinking the tax base while increasing demand for services. Number 11, Detroit, Michigan. Detroit's population fell from 1.8 million to 630,000. The city spans 139 square miles, but only 36% is occupied. Maintaining empty neighborhoods costs $30 per resident, compared to $11 in walkable cities. Between 2014 and 2019, Detroit demolished 4,200 structures, yet 17,000 vacant buildings remain. The city's murder rate stands at 49.7 per 100,000, ranking among the highest nationwide. Despite modest improvements, Detroit still ranks third for violent crime. Office vacancy already exceeds 24%, and when commercial loans mature, foreclosures follow. Median household income is $34,000, with a poverty rate of 36%. The automotive industry is automating rapidly, replacing both assembly workers and white-collar administrative roles. Detroit depends on a shrinking industry without a viable replacement. Number 10. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh's population dropped from 677,000 in 1950 to 302,000 today. Expensive highway construction through hilly terrain severed downtown from the waterfront. Transit ridership fell 70% since 1970, forcing suburban households to spend $11,200 annually on vehicles. Office vacancy exceeds 21%. While the city supports infrastructure built for twice its population, Pittsburgh depends on healthcare, education, and tech. Healthcare holds steady, education faces enrollment decline, and tech is cutting white-collar jobs. 2 of 3 pillars are weakening. Allegheny County has 1.2 million residents, but only 302,000 live in the city. When office workers stop commuting downtown, Pittsburgh retains empty buildings while suburbs keep tax revenue. Number 9. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore's population fell from 950,000 to 585,000. The city maintains infrastructure for its 1950 population with half the tax base. It has 16,000 vacant buildings, and the murder rate remains 58.1 per 100,000, second highest nationally, despite an 18% homicide drop in 2025. City households pay $3,200 annually in property taxes, compared to $2,100 in suburbs with better services. Median city income is $54,000, while Howard County averages $120,000. Wealth fled decades ago, leaving poverty and infrastructure decay behind. As office workers disappear, businesses relying on commuters collapse. The MTA serves 260,000 riders daily, but most suburban commuters drive, contributing little to the city's tax base. Number 8. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland lost 61% of its population between 1950 and 2020. The city spends 3 times more per capita on infrastructure than comparable European cities due to services spread across empty neighborhoods. Transit ridership fell 74%, while the RTA bus system loses $50 million annually. The city has 7,500 vacant buildings and 12,000 vacant lots, numbers expected to double in recession. Office vacancy stands at 23%, and property values never recovered from 2008. Downtown homes sell for $67,000, while suburbs like Rocky River average $285,000. Cleveland's economy depends on healthcare, manufacturing, and financial services. Healthcare remains stable, but manufacturing is automating and finance faces AI-driven job cuts. When layoffs hit in 2026, the city's fragile tax base erodes further. Number 7. St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis declined from 856,000 residents in 1950 to 286,000. City property taxes are double suburban rates, pushing residents out. The city maintains 3,200 lane miles of streets at an annual cost of $240 million, even as revenue shrinks. St. Louis has the highest murder rate in America at 87.2 per 100,000, despite a 22% improvement. Gun violence accounts for 85% of homicides. The city holds 7,500 vacant buildings and 12,000 vacant lots, numbers set to rise after 2026. Residents spend 22% of income on transportation due to car dependence. Meanwhile, suburban St. Charles County added 100,000 residents since 1990, capturing income while the city kept the problems. Number 6. Buffalo, New York. Buffalo's population fell from 580,000 to 278,000. Highway construction through Humboldt Parkway created lasting segregation. The city holds 17,000 vacant structures and 8,000 empty lots, while maintaining infrastructure built for double its population. Households spend $6,200 annually on fuel due to sprawl. The economy relies on healthcare, education, and light manufacturing. Education faces declining enrollment, manufacturing is automating, and office vacancy exceeds 19%. Banks are extending loans they know cannot be refinanced after 2026. Number 5. Austin, Texas. Austin recorded the largest vacancy jump in America, rising 6.9% to 27.9%. The city built 5 million square feet of office space in 2023. By late 2024, that dropped to 3.5 million, with developers abandoning projects mid-construction. Austin depends almost entirely on tech. Return-to-office mandates requiring only 3 days weekly mean companies need 30 to 40% less space. Median home prices remain $480,000, assuming growth that no longer exists. When layoffs hit, housing and commercial markets fall together. Number 4. San Francisco, California. San Francisco's office vacancy reached 36.7% by the end of 2024, quadrupling in 2019. California lost payroll jobs throughout 2025, with unemployment above 5%. The city is uniquely dependent on commercial real estate taxes. 94 million square feet of office space is listed for lease. Aging sewer infrastructure releases nearly 2 billion gallons of sewage annually, prompting EPA lawsuits. Office-using employment fell 14,300 jobs in 12 months, and AI is targeting the very roles that supported the city. Number 3. Portland, Oregon. Portland's office vacancy surged 4.4% in 1 year to 21.8%, among the sharpest increases nationwide. Tech firms including Nike, Intel, and Columbia Sportswear are downsizing. Office rents fell below national averages for the first time in a decade. When loans reset at 75% higher interest rates, rental income cannot support debt service. Downtown deterioration from homelessness and crime has accelerated business exits. Tech is shrinking, manufacturing is automating, and healthcare alone cannot sustain the city. Number 2. Seattle, Washington. Seattle matches Austin with 27% vacancy, but ranks higher due to economic concentration. Amazon and Microsoft hiring freezes stall the entire market. Commercial values could fall up to $250 billion by 2026. Tech represents over 30% of Seattle's economy, more than any major city. Infrastructure failures, sewage overflows, and transportation costs consuming 21% of household income compound vulnerability. Rising unemployment and fuel costs squeeze already tight budgets. Number 1. Boston, Massachusetts. Boston is the most exposed city in America. It is twice as dependent on commercial real estate taxes as nearly any other city. Office vacancy hit 20.3% in 2024, jumping 5.1% in 1 year, while 2 million square feet of new space is still under construction. Office-using employment fell 14,800 jobs in a year. Rents declined to $56 per square foot. Buildings backing loans maturing in 2026 are worth 50 to 60% of origination value. Boston faces a convergence of risks: AI-driven job losses, demographic decline in education, stagnant healthcare growth, and massive tax exposure. When refinancing fails, a feedback loop begins: falling values, declining services, business exits, and further value destruction. Every city on this list built its tax base on commercial real estate that is about to be revalued 30 to 50% lower. Depends heavily on white-collar employment that AI is eliminating and borrowed against growth that is no longer coming. The $1.8 trillion in loans maturing in 2026 are not evenly distributed. They are concentrated in these cities. When refinancing fails, the fallout will not be national. It will be local and catastrophic. You can trust most livable lists that ignore basic economics. Or you can examine the underlying reality. Where you live will matter more than ever when commercial real estate implodes and unemployment rises.